Hello everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new video. And today I have a different project to share with you. I'm going to be creating a vignette with the new Simon Says Stamp Halloween limited edition kit. This kit is a special edition kit that is released during Stamptember, and it is available only while supplies last. There are only a set amount of kits that were created, so if you would like to purchase this kit, you'll want to make sure you grab it while supplies last. Usually the Simon Says Stamp Halloween kits are super popular, so I have a feeling this one will go pretty quickly. But I wanted to show you what you can make with this kit. Now, there's a lot of designers who are creating some amazing treat bags and cards, but there are some 3D elements, things that are great for mixed media projects, also included in this kit, and I wanted to show you how you could use those to make a vignette. So I'm going to pull out a vignette box that I actually had originally started for something else, and that's why it's painted blue, but we're going to cover that up with some distress paint. So I have antique linen here, and I'm covering up the blue color that I originally had painted this box in, and I'm just going to cover that up with a single coat of this antique linen. I actually like that the color underneath was blue because it actually kind of shows through a little bit in certain spots where the paint was a little thinner. Now, also included in the kit is this mummy wrap stencil. Very cool stencil, cool for not just Halloween, but also other things in general. And there's also this grave paste. This is a texture paste from Tim Holtz, and I'm going to go ahead and use this with the stencil to create some texture over top of the painting that we just did. Now, of course, this paint is dry, so I am covering this over on certain spots, not covering the entire box, just different areas, and I'm also going to spread it out a little bit to feather it into the paint. And that's just going to create some extra texture to this paste, and it's also going to give that feathered look, so it almost looks like it's worn. I'm going to step that wornness up a little bit more using some Distress inks and a blending brush to start. I pulled out Vintage Photo, and I'm carefully going over certain spots of that grave paste that is now dry, and also the paint, and I'm going to create just a little bit of a worn effect. Then I'm going to pull in walnut stain Distress ink and use the pad directly on my vignette, and it's going to pick up ink on the raised surfaces mostly. Some areas we may have a little bit of ink catch, but this is really going to enhance some of those raised surfaces and create even more distressing. I'm pulling out some of the pattern papers that are included in this kit, and I'm going to cut them down to fit inside of my vignette. Not measuring anything accurately, just making a few marks, and I'll trim down the paper to be able to fit inside. On one of the pieces, I'm going to tear it to almost look like it's worn and ripped. I don't know, I like the distress look for Halloween stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and use that for this project, giving it a little bit more of a worn feel by adding in more of that Vintage Photo, just like we did for the box itself. And I'll cover up that paper, especially the white areas, to give them a little bit more of a vintage feel. Using that same Vintage Photo ink, I'm going to press a few areas of that pattern paper with the ink to create more of a weathered effect. This will look really cool and almost look like the paper has some maybe water damage to it, which I think looks cool because it almost reminds me of wallpaper inside this vignette. So I thought this was a neat aspect to add to this vignette. I added some distressing to the batt paper that's also in the kit, and I even splattered it for a bit more texture. I'm going to glue this paper into my vignette, which is completely dry at this point, and I'm using collage medium to attach this down. I love collage medium because it's a really nice strong adhesive, and it actually dries fairly quickly, so I'm going to use that to help hold all my pieces in place. It also dries pretty clear too, so you won't see it if you have any areas ooze out the sides. So I'll press this down really well, getting all those corners pressed nicely so that way none of the paper ends up coming up later. I'm going to now pull out that grave texture paste again, and I was inspired by the purple in this pattern paper, and I'm going to mix some Distress stain, this is Wilted Violet, with the grave paste to create a colored paste. I'm also going to use some walnut stain to warm it up a bit, make it match a little bit closer to the color in the pattern paper. Once I have the color to my liking, then I will scrape all this up off of my sheet and start applying it to the bottom of my vignette to be the ground. I really thought this would look cool, almost as if this was like maybe gravel or something, and the purple color was just kind of something that was inspired by the pattern paper itself, and I wanted a little bit more color in here. So that was why I went the route of the purple color. I'll wipe up any excess that may be hanging out the front of my box, and I'll let this dry completely before I move on to the next step. So now I'm going to pull out something that's not actually in the kit, but I have this bracket here. It's actually a pair of brackets that I have from Tim Holtz, and I'm going to color these metal accents with some alcohol inks. I've got alloy, and I also have a regular alcohol ink color. And so I'm just going to color this to the color that I'm looking for. I'm kind of going for almost of a brassy effect, but kind of keeping it more on the orange side. Then I'm going to let that dry completely before I bring in some collage medium, and I'm going to then sprinkle on a little bit of salvaged patina embossing glaze. So this dries somewhat transparent. It's not really an embossing powder, it's more of a glaze, so you can actually see through it. But the patina looks really cool because it actually creates a patina effect. And because I was going for that slightly brassy effect, oh, this looks so good. So I did that to 2 brackets, and I'm going to glue these in the corners of my vignette to kind of frame it up. And this just looks awesome. It pairs up so nicely with the items that I've used from the kit, and it creates a really cool vintage feel. Okay, so those are going to dry. Meantime, this was what inspired this entire vignette, this little jack-o'-lantern. You get that and some of those candy pieces included in the kit, plus these stickers that I'm attaching down onto some white cardstock. We're going to use all these pieces to be the focal point of our vignette. So for the stickers, I needed these to be not sticky, and I wanted them to be a little bit more sturdier than just the stickers themselves. So I'm going to adhere them onto this white cardstock and then fussy cut them out, so that way I can then use them as embellishments with the candy pieces and the jack-o'-lantern that are included in the kit. So you get all these pieces that I'm using right this moment in your kit, and they make awesome embellishments for a vignette like this. So I'm going to glue these down with collage medium inside my vignette, inside my jack-o'-lantern, and it's creating a really cool candy package. So these are getting glued down. You can see how my jack-o'-lantern is filled up with all these fun candy pieces. Creates a really neat accent. And then some of these other pieces I'm going to glue to the inside of the vignette to create a little bit of a background. So these will be in the background, not focal points, but they're going to really tie in with that candy feel. So I glued those down, and I'm also gluing some of the round candy pieces from Tim Holtz into this vignette as well. And like I was using earlier, I'm using that same collage medium to glue all these pieces down. Collage medium is really versatile adhesive, and I really love using it, especially for mixed media projects like this. So on the outside of my vignette, I'm going to add an adornment from Tim Holtz. This is like a little button, and I do have all these ingredients that I'm using here linked in the video description below. That button is not included in the kit, but it's something I had in my stash, so I thought it would look cool hanging off the side. Kind of reminded me of like midnight and the time, Halloween. It just went, for, in my opinion, it went. So that's why I went ahead and added that in. Okay, so inside my vignette, I'm adding some cobwebs. This is from a Tim Holtz die set. It comes with the cobweb and also the spider. And I'm using this to create a cobweb in the corner of my vignette because you can't have Halloween and candy and jack-o'-lanterns without having some cobwebs. It's spooky, right? And I also added that spider. So the vellum is what the cobwebs are created from, and then the spider's cut from black glitter cardstock. I'm adding glossy accents to certain areas of the spider webs and also the vignette in general to create the look of dust. Usually Halloween and anything spooky somehow involves dust, so I wanted to add some sparkly dust. Tim Holtz Mica Flakes are one of those embellishments that is literally useful for everything. And I love using mica flakes, and I also love sparkle. So my dust is going to be sparkly. I'm using the mica flakes to create that effect. I thought it looked awesome. Finishing things up, I am stamping a sentiment from the stamp set that's included in this kit. I'm stamping it with embossing ink and embossing it with Simon Says Stamp cream embossing powder. I'll adhere this down along the top of my vignette, and that completes this really cool project using the Halloween kit from Simon Says Stamp. Now, don't forget, this kit is limited edition and is only available while supplies last. So if you love this kit, which there's a lot of cool stuff in here, I definitely would encourage you to check it out. I have links to it down below in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube or over on my blog. I hope you enjoyed this project. It's a little bit different than what I usually share. I'm definitely more of a card person, but I love creating mixed media projects here and there. So this one was a fun one to create, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I'll be back very soon with not just more Stamptember inspiration for you, but also some Tim Holtz inspiration. So stay tuned. I've got something coming very soon with the new Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous release coming out on Saturday. So I hope you'll tune in for that. Thank you again for watching, and I'll be back very soon with more to share. Bye.